Hi everyone, I'm Jarka from Design by Life, and today on Mindset Matters, we've got the super talented Sarah Jensen. Sarah is a coach, writer, and speaker, and she also has her own podcast show called Rock Your Goals. Welcome, Sarah. How are you?
Hello, I'm good. How are you?
I'm so excited to have you here today because we're going to be talking about a really juicy topic. But before we jump straight into it, I would like to invite you to tell us a bit about yourself, about what you do, maybe share something that not many people know about you. Off you go.
Hi, I'm Sarah from sarahjensen.com.au. I'm a writer, a speaker, and a coach, and I work with women, particularly female entrepreneurs, to help them rock their goals. And so when I say that, I mean your goals, your way. I'm a big believer that we all have very different goals. Even if, for example, you and I, Yarka, have the same goal, it's going to look completely different. So what I love to do is work with women to help them tap back into their truth and what matters most to them, what lights them up, and then help them bring that to life.
Sounds amazing.
As for me, let me think, what can I share? I have a belly button piercing. I've ridden a motorbike around a racetrack, and I love sleep-ins and chocolate, and I love living in my pajamas.
Fantastic. I think I relate on a few of those. Not the motorbiking, I'm a bit scared, but definitely on a few other things as well. So you and I met online, but recently I also had the pleasure of meeting you in person. And I've been following you for about a year, reading your blogs and obviously listening to your podcast, which is one of my favorites. And what really strikes me about you, which is what I love about you, is that you're so consistent how you show up. And when I met you in person, you were exactly how I imagine you to be, and I think that is such a rare quality these days because people have this fear of being judged and then they show up inconsistently, and there are different people with different audiences. And I understand that it's a journey, and owning your truth and being super proud of who you are and being true to your values probably is a journey, and it's not something that we wake up one day and say, yeah, this is who I am. So I would like to talk to you about the topic of today, which is you're not for everyone. And try to find out your journey and how did you get to the point where you're so focused on what you want to do and knowing who you are, sharing vulnerably. And you always show both sides of the story. You're not sort of just the highlight reel and what's happening in my life, look at the great stuff, but you also very compassionately and very vulnerably share things that may not be so great, because let's face it, life is full of ups and downs, right? So what was your journey like, and how did you arrive at the point where you are owning your truth?
Well, first up, thank you. You've said some beautiful things there, and I'm really genuinely grateful that you feel that I am just me across everything, online, in person, all of those things, because it can be a really hard thing to do, especially you're starting out a business, you're grappling with your own personal issues and all of the things that it brings up for you. But I've definitely not always been comfortable being me for a long time, ever since probably just before I turned 10. I had no idea who I was and what I wanted. When I was little, my mum and dad split up when I was 7, and that hugely shaped my life. I took years and years to make peace with that, to get over it, to finally accept it wasn't my fault. Because as a little kid, you think, hey, hang on, mum's gone, dad's gone, what have I done wrong? Don't they love me anymore? And that can have a huge impact.
Yeah.
So I grew up as a massive people pleaser. I was desperate for approval. I was desperate for people to love me. I didn't feel confident in myself at all, and I was always looking outside for something. So whether it was people and really intense relationships, whether it was food, whether it was hobbies, Oh my goodness, seriously, I have lost count of the amount of crazy hobbies I've had, and the cupboards full of rollerblades and art supplies and, oh, this is what I'm going to do. This is my thing. This is going to be my thing, and I'm going to be great at it. So I'm going to find my place, and I'm going to have this thing that's mine, and it's amazing, and it's going to fix me.
Yeah.
And holy moly, none of it fixed me. And there isn't a fix. It's not that I'm broken. It's not that anyone's broken. It's that perhaps you're just not feeling comfortable within yourself. And that was very much the case for me. I felt so uncomfortable in my body, in my skin, in my head. It was all just messy, and I felt like I was wearing this, I don't know, onesie that didn't quite fit. And it really got to a point where I was very, very unhappy. I'd had depression for a long time. I'd finally met this amazing guy who was actually really nice to me, and I wasn't perpetuating the funky, ridiculous relationships that were really destructive. I'd found this great guy, and I didn't know how to deal with it. I couldn't accept love. I was pushing him away. I was doing all that crap because I felt so undeserving and unlovable. And I also noticed that someone very close to me who was quite old. She was almost 70, and she had spent her whole life basically in the place that I was at that point, and she had never made a change. And I looked at her, and I looked at me, and I looked at this relationship that I loved that I was going to lose, and I realised if I didn't change something, then I was going to be that lady at 70. I was going to be completely unhappy for my whole life. I was going to miss out on all the things that I really, really wanted. The adventures, the joy, the passion, the connection, the adventure. So I asked around some friends, and I found an amazing counsellor, and I worked with her for a couple of years, and holy moly, it was hard, but God, it was worth it. It was so worth it. And having built the business and put myself out there online, it was scary. I didn't start my business with my name. I used to be live the authentic life, and it was not for long, but my photo wasn't online. I didn't want to say my name. I was petrified of putting myself out there because I was so scared of, hang on, this is me. This is the real me, the me that I feel like no one's ever really had the chance to know. What if someone rejects that? I don't know if I could cope. But I've found that the more that I've connected with beautiful women like you and connected with people online and offline, that I've started to feel a lot more confident, and I'm still doing the self-work. It never ends. Yeah. But from building that and building that momentum and taking those little steps that have become bigger steps that remind me that I can actually do stuff. It might not always work. It might be hard. It might be embarrassing or silly, or I might make a mistake sometimes, like I did in my intro today. And that's okay, because we are human and we are real. But it is hard, especially as women, we are very much pleasers. So it's been a big journey to get to a point where I feel like, okay, this is me, and, you know, I'm not super glamorous, and I'm a bit clumsy, and I do love my pajamas and sleep-ins and TV and things. I'm not, you know, I'm not, I guess, what I always thought that the epitome of a female entrepreneur would be, but I'm at a point where it's like, hey, this is me, and people are okay with that, and I'm okay for you to know that, and if I'm not for everyone, then it's okay.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. There are a lot of truths there coming through, and I think your catalyst, if I'm understanding this correctly, was looking at someone else and their life so much further down the track, you know, the 70-year-old lady, and you reflecting on your life and your journey at the time and relating to her and seeing, okay, well, do I want to go down this path or not? So that was your catalyst for seeking help, right?
Yeah, that, and if I didn't do something, this amazing man who was actually really quite lovely that I realised I loved, there was no way he was going to stick around if I didn't sort myself out, because I would never actually be allowed, I wouldn't ever allow him to really love me. Yeah. And that wasn't going to work long term. So I didn't want to lose this awesome guy. But it really made me realise that it was time. It was time to do it for me, whether that relationship lasted or not, and it has. Yeah. That wasn't the point. The point was, it was time to change, and it was time to change for me, which I think was the big deal, because often we'll try and change for others, and that often doesn't stick.
Yeah, and it's a really great point, because I feel like people struggle understanding whether they're actually in a bit of a rut or not. I think we put up with so much that often what we do and how we live becomes the norm, and we don't even know that there's something different there for us.
Yeah.
We don't even give ourselves a chance to potentially do something different to see, well, maybe that might make me happier. And how I'm understanding what you're saying is obviously love, and having this new person into your life was also a bit of a catalyst for you to think, okay, well, I don't want to mess this up. I really want to give this a chance. This guy sees something in me. Why can't I?
Yes, absolutely.
And I think it's an amazing story told from that perspective, because we all have situations like that. It may not be the boy, it may be a friend, or it may be a parent or someone in our circle that actually sees something that we can't. And taking that chance to explore it, and also being courageous enough to say, hey, I can't quite see this. I need some help. What do I do? And I commend you for that you did step up and said, yes, I need help. So let's fast track to the point where you are now well and happy, and you're now starting your life all over in essence, and you've got beautiful support, and you're now discovering who you truly are and starting your own business and the blogging. So how did you have the courage to start writing, and where did that come from? Why blogging? Why coaching?
It started out with the writing, and it was very much as I was going through the process of having counselling. And it was just a moment. It was this random moment. I was sitting on my bed in the house we were living in at that time, and I just had this realisation that, oh goodness, I've just been through this and I'm still going through it. But I realised where I'd come from, and I come from a really bad place. And I was really stuck and really unhappy. And I'd done the work, and I was doing the work, and I'd come to this place where I was starting to realise, hey, okay, maybe I'm not so bad. Maybe I do deserve some love. Maybe I can like myself. Maybe I can get to know myself and be okay with who I really am. And okay, I wasn't there yet. I'm still working on it. But it was that moment where I realised how far I'd come. And I realised if I could do that and come through what I'd been through, and all of the mess and all of the crap and all of the self-destructive rubbish and all of that, and I could come out the other side and still be here, maybe what I've been through could help other people. Maybe talking about it, giving it a voice, giving it space, allowing people to have a space where they felt completely safe and completely judgment-free, no filter. You can share whatever you need to share, and it will be met with love. If I could provide that for one other person, it felt like the biggest gift on the planet. Because that was what my counsellor had created for me. She'd created a safe space for me to say all of it without thinking. She never judged. I could swear, I could whatever. I could cry, I could be messy, I could be real. And she allowed me to do that, which allowed me to do it for myself. And I felt like exploring some of what I'd been through by writing. I've always been a big writer ever since I was a little kid. I was always writing stories, and my dad would illustrate them for me. And I missed that. I missed the creativity. I also had been doing quite a lot of journaling as part of my counselling. And some of the stories, I guess I wanted to start exploring some of it, sharing some of it, to say, hey, this is what I've been through. Do you relate? And if you do, hey, there's someone here who gets it. So the blog started, and then it built from there, and I realised what I wanted to do was help other women and work with them and help them get through the stuff that they were going through. And ultimately what it comes down to is I want to help other women see their potential and see what we see, because there are so many beautiful women out there who are just incredible and they don't see it. And I'd been that person, and I was shifting to someone who was able to acknowledge that, okay, I'm all right. I deserve love, and I deserve good stuff, and I can create that, and I'm allowed to. Wow, what if I can do that for other people? How powerful is that? So that's sort of the transition from where it started, and it's just grown from there.
Beautiful. I guess where I would like to go next is to understand who you work with and how one goes about asking for help. And I'll tell you where I'm coming from with this. I had a few conversations lately, and with friends, acquaintances, clients, and it's a reoccurring pattern where people say, I'm so afraid of being judged. I'm really feeling like no one would be interested in what I have to say, or I'm fearful of failing at this, or I don't even know what I want. I know I'm unhappy, but do I even need help? Or I'm scared to ask for help. So there's all this before you actually get support, this uncertainty and this whole can I own my truth? Am I going to be judged for it? Is this real? Where am I? I'm so lost, and I feel like I'm procrastinating, and it's like stuck between a rock and a hard place. So what would you say to someone who would divulge this information to you privately, even like before they start coaching with you, but just in a conversation? Like, what would you tell them?
First up, completely normal. We've all been there. It's not a nice place to be, but it's an exciting place to be when you become aware of it, because that's the point where you start to change things and you start to take action and things start to shift. It's kind of that moment where you open up and think, okay, this is what I've been doing. This is not working for me. I think I'm ready for something else. So as much as it can feel sticky, it's actually really cool, because it's that point where you're on sort of the ledge, I guess, and it's like, I'm ready to jump into this and surrender and see what happens. I would very much say, where you can, tap into you, because what you need will be very different for every person. So if you can ask yourself, what do I need? Maybe you need to try some creative outlets. Maybe you need to have some pampering, book yourself in to have a massage and create some space. Maybe you need a coach or a counsellor. Maybe you need someone to talk with. But have a think about, what do I need? And also think about what you love, what makes you feel amazing, what makes the time fly, and start there. So I know when I sort of went through the whole thing of trying a million different hobbies, I did get judged. My ex-husband and his mum would say, oh, Sarah's latest whim, what's her hobby this week? And I hated that. But I also just thought, I don't care, because if I keep trying things, then I'm one step closer to finding the thing that works for me. And it ended up at the time being counselling. But I hadn't tried that. I'd tried a whole bunch of other things. So I guess don't give up. Know that the right thing is out there. It might take you a little bit of wiggling and trying things on for size to see what works. And I guess too, what you need is going to shift as you shift as a person too. So where I needed that counselling at the time, now I do things like yoga, and I have a coach of my own. So she can help me with my goals, but she can also help me deal with the crazy that comes with being a female entrepreneur and all the emotions and things. Trust yourself. Know that you can, and know that it's okay. You're allowed. Give yourself permission. Give yourself the space and time to explore what you need, and know that you will find it, and know that it is not a sign of weakness in any way to ask for help. It makes you stronger, and it helps you get where you need to be quicker.
Yeah, and it's such a great point that you made there, that you will have people around you, like you mentioned your ex-husband and his family, that will not believe in you, that will be naysayers or will be mocking you or putting you down, right? And I think the whole topic today of not being for everyone is important to acknowledge, because what we do and what we believe in, how we articulate our truth, how we go about our daily lives, our choices of what we do for work or who we hang out with, is so unique to us. And it's not going to please everyone. It's not going to be for everyone. And it's okay if someone does not support you. It's okay. But it's that much harder when it is someone whose opinion matters to you, or it's family members. So what would you say, how did you handle that? Because know that it would have been a quite personal experience, not having the support. How did you overcome that?
I actually didn't know that they were saying that at the time.
Oh,
so that was probably
convenient.
a fortunate thing. But it's true. And you won't even always get support when you're doing things that are positive. You might be making positive changes for yourself that might impact on other people. They might not approve because they see that it's going to mean changes in what you give to them or what they get from you. But in terms of how I worked through, I guess it always felt like I just had to keep going. I don't know where it came from. I don't know what it was in me, but I just felt if I didn't keep going, then the only choice was to stay where I was, and that wasn't an option.
Right.
So I kind of had to keep going, and I had to keep exploring, and I had to keep looking. I've said this before. It was the choice of two things: either I take action and I make a change, or I completely check out of life. And I decided I didn't want that. I wanted to make a change. I wanted to make things better. I wanted to learn how to accept happiness and love and things. So there wasn't an option. It was just, okay, Sarah, just keep going, just keep going. And look, there were days where it was really hard, or I went backwards, or I didn't do anything. I pulled the covers over my head and I hid, or I cried, or I freaked out. It was messy,
but you didn't give up.
Going.
Yeah, you didn't give up.
I didn't feel like I had a choice, which in a way is good because it does keep you going.
Yeah,
it's like I want more. I'm getting there.
Yeah. Have you ever had to deal with negative people, like someone who actually trolled you online, said something nasty online, but also in person?
I've been fairly fortunate. I guess high school was a really difficult time for me because I was desperate to fit in. So I felt like I was a different person with everyone. It's almost like I was this little chameleon, and if I was with this group of kids, then I'd talk a certain way or use certain words, or I'd stand a certain way, or, you know, with some people I'd be really quiet and others I'd be really loud and all like, yeah.
Yes.
And I did that for a long time. And bullying, I've been fairly fortunate. I can't think of any examples off the top of my head where I've had a really horrific experience. But then I have been in a pretty horrible relationship where there were breadcrumbs of enough positive stuff to keep me there, but my self-esteem was already so low, and this man was incredibly manipulative and quite nasty, and I got to a point where I didn't feel like I deserved anything, and the negativity he was giving me, I felt like I deserved it, and that was crushing, and it was a really, really hard situation to step away from. And I found the things that made a difference there were my counsellor and a really close group of friends who helped me cut ties and step away and stop the self-destructive pattern. But it was a lot deeper than just, I guess it was a lot deeper than I realised or I ever thought. And there was so much more to it that I had to work through to get to a point where I'd say, no, I don't accept that. But I guess there is protection that you need to, how do I want to say this? I guess if you're out there online and you're putting yourself out there, there's always a chance that someone will be negative or judge you. I haven't had that yet. I'm sure it'll happen, and I know there's that funny saying that people say, you know you've made it when you get your first hater. But there are a lot of people who have experienced that, and I guess it's where you come back to why am I doing this and who am I doing it for? And if that person doesn't like what I have to say, it's okay. That's them. That's their opinion. It doesn't reflect on me. It doesn't make me a bad person. It doesn't mean I'm useless and worthless. I guess so tapping back into why am I really doing this? What does it really mean? What's the difference I'm trying to make? And then that stuff sort of, it can melt away a little bit more. It doesn't matter as much. It doesn't hit you as hard. Yeah.
The concept of not being for everyone, for me, showed up quite a few times when I had the shiny object syndrome. And thinking, oh my goodness, you know, everything sounds so great. I said yes to everything, of course, and had no boundaries clearly. And I literally got to the point where I was so exhausted and so run down, and nothing really lit me up. So I got involved, and then once I was in the thick of it, I realized, well, actually, it doesn't align with my values. It's not really what I want. And then on to the next thing and the next thing. And I realized that setting boundaries and being able to say no to someone, even if
Yeah.
they will be surprised, or they'll be like, oh, but I thought you were my friend, or, that it's okay. And you're only one person. And if you take
Yeah.
on too much, you're actually not honoring what you really want for yourself. So stopping and just checking it with myself every time I get super excited, for me really helps to go back inwards and say, well, Jarka, you're thinking this. How is it feeling? Yeah, it feels exciting, but also a bit tight. It feels like I don't know what I'm getting into, and it's a bit shaky. And then, so what are you going to do about it? And I think when I go through that 3-step process, at the end it comes out of a wash and I know it's a yes or it's a no. But if I just jump into it and say yes because I'm a recovering people pleaser,
Yeah.
okay, and I'm still struggling with that, it then becomes so much harder to paddle backwards. And that's when I'm finding that the clashes or the judgment, or that tough discussion has to take place, and then it's just too far down the rabbit hole, right? So I wanted to obviously have this discussion with you to showcase that it's okay to go with your feelings, and it's not always black and white, and there's no right or wrong, and sometimes your head does not know better. Sometimes you also have to check in with yourself, and you felt really strongly about wanting to be with this boy. You felt really strongly about what you didn't want, even if you didn't know what it is that you wanted, but you just kept going and you just kept listening to yourself. And one thing led to the other, and little steps, and you're here today sharing your story and helping others and supporting them. So as a last question, and to wrap it up, I guess I just wanted to ask you if you had 1 or 2 tricks up your sleeve, or tools, or something that you do that helps you check in with yourself to know how to set those boundaries, or what you should be getting involved in. What would that be?
I need a lot of quiet time and alone time. So for
Mm.
me, it's taking an hour or a half a day or a day and shutting the doors to the world.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives me the space to choose what I need in that moment and what I need in that day, and to reconnect with where's my energy at? What am I feeling? How are things flowing? Is it feeling easy or hard? Is it feeling sticky, or is it feeling really good? Am I feeling positive about things? And to have that for me is absolutely crucial, because I can go at 1,000,000 miles an hour and have epic lists of things to do.
Yes.
And when I get in that frame of mind, I do forget to check in, and I say yes to everything, and I forget about the boundaries, and I judge myself, and I get into that cycle of worrying and fear, instead of, okay, this is cool, this is good, I'm doing all right, I'm ticking along, everything's good. So for me, it's very much space, and whether that then means I watch some TV, or I go for a walk, or I do some yoga, or if I'm feeling it, I do some meditation. Whatever it is, I honour what it is that I need in that moment. And it's sort of like I've got a cool toolbox that I can pull lots of things from, rather than 1 or 2 go-tos. And I love sitting and reading a book and spending a day just reading, or having a bath. And those are the things that I come back to, that when I can create that space, that's when I feel like, okay, I know where I'm at, I know what I'm heading towards, I know that my energy's cool, I'm looking after me, I've got that foundation right, and then I know that what I'm creating and what I'm saying yes to is going to be aligned, because I'm more connected with me and where I'm at.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much, Sarah, for sharing your life story in essence, and you shared a lot of beautiful, vulnerable detail, and I'm very thankful and grateful for it. So to wrap up today, can you please share with us where our viewers can find you and learn more about what you do?
Yeah, of course. Well, the website is sarahjensen.com.au, and from there you can check out blog posts and resources and connect with me on social media. I'm also doing a national tour of my Rock Your Goals workshops later this year, so keep an eye out in Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane and Canberra. and possibly Perth, fingers crossed. But yeah, making plans at the moment and really looking forward to meeting some beautiful women in some other cities outside of Adelaide.
Fantastic, and I can't wait for you to come to Sydney.
Yay!
Thank you so much, Sarah, and looking forward to catching up with you soon. Bye.
Thank you so much.